A little different today in that I'm actually using a sermon that I came across in my readings recently that I thought was just a wonderful reading for this time of Advent and our time of waiting. Noted teacher and preacher Thomas Long noted that when John von der Staal died this past Palm Sunday at age 95 of COVID-related complications, a singular preaching voice was stilled. He served as a Lutheran pastor, campus pastor, chaplain, and ended his distinguished career as president of the Lutheran Seminary in Philadelphia. His accomplishments were many, but he was perhaps best known for being a featured preacher on the Lutheran series of the Protestant Hour on radio back in the 1970s and 80s. The sermon, Waiting, is one that he preached on that show. Long notes that not only is the theme of waiting for God an apt one for the Advent season, it's doubly pertinent by the anxious and sometimes painful waiting woven into the experience of our current pandemic. He notes the sermon is an example of a much needed genre of preaching today, preaching designed to re-enchant hearers in a time of widespread disenchantment. The overall goal of his sermon is to invite the listener deep into the heart of Psalm 130 and into the mystery of waiting for the Lord. So let us begin by listening carefully and following as you can. Psalm 130, Waiting for Divine Redemption. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, Lord, who could stand? But there is forgiveness with you, so that you may be revered. I wait for the Lord. My soul waits. In his word I hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than those who watch for the morning, more than those who watch for the morning. O Israel, hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is great power to redeem. It is he who will redeem Israel from all its iniquities. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God for that word. So I want to share with you directly today's sermon from Reverend von der Staal's. So to do this, I'd ask you to picture yourself back in about 1980, and you're in front of your radio, preparing to hear the words of the Protestant Hour and the noted Reverend John von der Staal. He says, from Psalm 130, these familiar words, I wait for the Lord, my soul doth wait, and in his word I do hope. My soul waiteth for the Lord more than they that watch for the morning. I say more than they who watch for the morning. Most of our waiting, I suppose, is just ordinary and doesn't mean very much. I put the coffee water on the stove in the morning and wait for it to boil, but not really, because I drink my juice, I let the cats in and out, pour the cereal in my bowl, and then the water's ready, and I haven't thought very much, anything at all. Waiting for a taxi is something different, because I hate to call until I'm ready in case they come right away, which they never do. So waiting is hard, and I pace back and forth, afraid that I will miss my train. But what does it mean to wait for the Lord? When I was young in junior high, we always got new pants for school the week or so before it started. Always corduroy in a shade of brown, and sometimes a sweater to match. They had a new smell hanging there in the closet, and at least once, when no one was around, I tried them on and imagined what it would be like to walk down the hall with my summer tan and summer muscles and much taller than when school let out the spring before, at least a half an inch. New corduroys have a certain stiffness and make a special sound. And I imagined that my friends would say, John is older now. How I looked forward to that first day of school in my new corduroys. It's hard to wait. But what does it mean to wait for the Lord? Somehow, it's not like ordinary waiting, not like waiting for water to boil or the first day of school. It's not like waiting for the prayer to end and the hymn to begin, the telephone to ring. Not like waiting for day's end when you can turn back the covers and turn out the light. It's more like waiting for a certain woman or a certain man. We'd seen this other before, walking, talking with friends, so self-assured and yet with something saved, held back, some inner life reserved for another time. But it seemed as though this one who stood out among all the others was well beyond our possibility, as though they belonged to another class, with another group of people, each possessing more attractive ways than ours, some quality which put us in their shadow where we were not easily seen. And then one day she came or he came to talk with us, and maybe only a smile, but something inside of us knew that we had been acknowledged, invited to a private word or longing, which would be ours alone, something between the two of us. And with great care, with the rhythm and grace of a ballet, we drew near and moved away. We ate together, prepared a meal together, were silent together, and shared our stories of times gone by, our good times, and things which made us afraid. And soon our world revolved around this other. We knew the other's walk and each movement of the face and tone of voice, and our lives were somehow recreated in this person. This was the one for whom we waited with such ongoing, such expectation. And our waiting for the Lord is more like waiting for a man or a woman than like waiting for water to boil or for the first day of school. It's like waiting for a man or a woman, but waiting for the Lord is not that private or that exclusive.
Yeah.
From the psalm we hear, my soul waiteth for the Lord more than they that watch for the morning. I wait for something large enough to reshape the whole of my life, something large enough to gather me up and all those around me, to turn us into a common direction and make us friends. I wait for the lights to go out, for the whole city to lose power, for a time when I am drawn into the hallway with my candle and my neighbors with theirs, where in the soft light they say to me, I wonder what happened. The city is out? And I say, I wonder how long it will be. And together we go search of the elevator to see if anyone is stuck in it and needed help. And when we come back, I say, I was just about to have some soup. Wouldn't you come in and join me while it's still hot? And they come, which had never happened before the lights went out, that I and my neighbors were together sharing food and conversation. It's not like ordinary waiting, this waiting for the Lord. It's like waiting for an act of God, which transforms the ordinary, which creates the possibility of something new. An act of God which unleashes the laws which bind and bring forth both a carnival of looting and also neighbors sitting down for soup and gladness that something happened large enough to bridge the 12-foot long from door to door. Waiting for the Lord is like waiting for some astonishing news to greet us in the morning. That a snowstorm has closed all the offices, schools, and stores, and we come alive with new possibilities of things to be done with that day. We shovel to our neighbor's door and hope that there be some need for us and that the neighbors will be glad that we came. It's like waiting for a snowstorm, which transforms the ordinary day into a day that's really different. It's like waiting for a war, waiting for the Lord. Perverse, but true enough for those of us able to recapture some of the feelings of World War II and how that also gathered us and shook the gloom of the Depression and changed the tune and called us to be concerned for one another's sons and daughters, and how we talk to people we've never met with deep compassion sometimes. It was a time when we did extraordinary things, took bizarre trips, and told incredible stories, and suffered incredibly too. And it was the worst and the best of times. Like waiting for that kind of wartime when lives are changed and whole societies, and nothing is ever much the same again, at least not for a time. Like waiting for that kind of wartime, we wait for the Lord. In some ways, waiting for Christmas is like waiting for the Lord. It has some of the elements of all the other waiting. It's like waiting for the water to boil because we've been through Christmas before and doing other things while we wait. It's like waiting to wear new corduroys on that first day of school to start fresh. Like waiting to make the best of all Christmases. And Christmas has all the power of a blackout, snowstorm, or war. To set up a tree in a house, to bake special cookies, to take time from work, to set aside money, to gather in whomever we can of friends and family, to surround ourselves with special music of great power. These things together create an overwhelming change in what is an ordinary in our lives. It is a magic time, a time for love, for reaching out to neighbors, a magic time in which old wounds can be healed, forgiveness can be offered and accepted. Christmas is a private time, a time for lovers, but is larger than one or even two people. Christmas embraces our whole world, the largest of our hopes and dreams, not just for ourselves, but for all people. In fact, we know that it would not be Christmas for one or for lovers if it did not evoke some larger setting, which all of us became, for a brief, glorious time, a part of the extended family of God. To wait for Christmas is something of what it means to wait for the Lord. All the elements are known to us, I think, all that it means to wait for the Lord, and yet it is the Lord for whom my soul waits, and not the first day of school, the lover, or Christmas. They are like rain coming down a window screen, filling each of the tiny squares of my life with water, but the drop moves on, and behind it, the square winks and the water is gone. The lights of the city will come on again, and I must blow out my candle, and my neighbor's his, as he crosses the blackout bridge from his door to mine, and I must go back to yesterday's living. The second day of school is not like the first. The corduroys, the tan, the muscles have been seen, and I must now face algebra and the good but demanding Miss Psych. And what shall we say of the man or the woman who reordered our lives? It may be that they are already gone, and our lives are changed, this time by grief and sadness. Or if still living, this other warm pleasure, we discover this relationship, which at its start was so dramatic and longed for, is now simply the center of the web of ordinary things, and a constant reminder that what is central for time is always subject to death, and our life with another is no hedge against darkness. Christmas itself is time bound, that even as the day begins, we are aware that it is ending, that short days from now, we will be back at work, the lights will come down, and we must face the coldest days of winter to come. It is for the Lord of Christmas that my soul waits, and Advent is our preparation for his coming. I wait for the Lord who was before I began to be, who knows the world from its beginning and is not afraid of the great sighs and empty places. The Lord, for whatever reason I cannot guess, will not stay away as though embarrassed by a people sphere which went always wrong from its beginning, but who draws near to wait with those who wait for him. I wait for the Lord who is angry and filled with indignation when people draw swords against one another, cheat one another, and spit oil onto white sand beaches. I wait for the Lord who in a great parabola of grace enters the atmosphere of time and space, is bound to a cross by the weight of human sin, and who swoops down into hell of all time, making and arching up again through Easter's tomb, brings him all who wait for him and desire to live in the light and to sing the songs of freedom. I wait for the Lord who doesn't boil and cool again like coffee water. I wait for the Lord whose love is lasting, who stirs me for longer than one night's blackout or a snowstorm which reorders just a single day. I wait for the Lord who challenges me to find in the life of another human both a model and a strength for giving my life to a world of always particular people who live in shadows and waiting for our recognition. I wait for the Lord whose Christmas lights are always burning, who sends each night a band of angels singing, each day a pillar of cloud and each night a fire to lead us out of every time of bondage. I wait for his promising time when we shall beat our swords into plowshares and our spears into pruning hooks, when nation shall not lift sword against nation. From the Psalm 130, again we hear, I wait for the Lord, my soul doth wait, and in his work I do hope. O house of Jacob, come, let us walk in the light of the Lord. Amen.